We have the genealogy of the blessings. The blessings to the Israelites. The blessings to the children of Israel. And through these blessings we prove who are descended from the people of Israel and who are not. Abraham was the first Hebrew. Abraham was the beginning of the Hebrew nation. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were the patriarchs. The Hebrew nation began with Abraham. Abraham at the beginning was named Abraham, and afterwards the Almighty changed his name to Abraham. And we find in Genesis 12, 2-3, that Abraham was promised that he would become a great nation, and you will all the nations of the earth be blessed. So Abraham was to become a great nation, and in him would all the nations of the earth be blessed. And he says, and I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly. Genesis 17:2. I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly. The blessing was to involve becoming a great and mighty nation and a multitudinous one, of having a great number of people. It says, I will make nations of you, and kings shall come out of you. I will establish my covenant between me and your seed after you, and their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be God unto you, to your seed after you. See Genesis 17:6-7. It says then that after Abraham came Isaac, Yitzchak, and Abel. Yitzchak was the son of Abraham. Abraham had another son, Ishmael, and also other sons after him. But his primary son was Isaac, and is referred to as your only son in the Bible. It said, the Almighty says, my covenant will I establish with Isaac, he said to Abraham. My covenant will I establish with Isaac, Genesis 17:21. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant with the seed after him, Genesis 17:19. God informed Abraham, in Isaac shall your seed be called. In Isaac shall your seed be called, Genesis 21:21. Take now your son, your only son. He calls him your only son. He tells Isaac that his only son is Isaac. Take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, Genesis 22:2. And so too, the Almighty made a covenant with Abraham after the Akedah. The Akedah is the binding of Isaac. Hashem, the God ordered Abraham to take now your son, your only son, to take Isaac and take him to a mountain that he will be shown unto him, and tie him down and offer him up as a sacrifice. So Abraham proceeded to carry out the commandment. The last minute, an angel stopped him, prevented him from going through with it, and then the Almighty told himself, by myself have I sworn, says the Lord, by myself. In other words, unconditionally. Before then, the blessings may have been somewhat ambiguous. He was to receive the covenant. He was also to worship God. He was to keep the laws. After the Akedah, after the binding, it suddenly becomes unconditional. By myself have I sworn, says the Lord. That is, henceforth, the blessings were unconditional, at least to some degree, and they had to be fulfilled. And also we look at the blessings, that is how they are laid out. They had to be fulfilled, and they were to be fulfilled. And their fulfillment was for a purpose, and after the fulfillment, in the course of the fulfillment, they would also do justice and judgment. They would bring a blessing on the earth. It wasn't that first they would do justice and judgment and then they would receive as a reward ruling over other peoples. No, ruling over other peoples and becoming a great and mighty nation was in order to enable them to fulfill the task of doing justice and judgment. So it wasn't a reward. It wasn't a reward to them, how they would be acting. It was a reward to their forefathers, but the actual fulfillment was not a cause and effect on the spot. The event was related to what had been promised generations previously. Isaac begat two twins. He begat twins. Esau, and Jacob. Jacob was later to be renamed Israel. Of Esau, it was foretold. Esau was foretold, by your sword will you live. You shall serve your brother. See Genesis 27:14. Esau became ancestor of the founder settlers of early Rome and the part of the Germanic peoples. See Talmud as Megillah 6, as well as the part of the ruling elites in continental Europe. And he was an anti-Semite. He hated Jews. He was born that way. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with his father blessed him. See Genesis 27:41. Esau said in his heart, my father will soon die and I will kill Jacob. He wants to kill Jacob. He always wanted to kill Jacob. He was born this way. And we have these people. You have anti-Semites, you have people anti-Jewish, descendants from Esau or from Canaanites or from who knows who. Treacherous people, treacherous elements, cruel people, vicious. And they exist and they are active. And sometimes it seems as if they've taken control of all the earth and all the media and all of everything. Especially if you're someone who lives in Israel, it seems that most of the earth are against us. Even those who are not against us are doing us a favor. They like us, they half like us. It's a story I heard. The story I heard when someone asked a person from a certain area if they hate Jews or why they hate Jews or why he's different, and he said, I like you despite the horns you have growing out of your head or the tail you have. And they didn't, and whatever, and this person was actually a medical student, and he had seen a lot of dead bodies, he'd dissected bodies, he was familiar with the human organism, and he knew that there were no horns in anyone's heads, and no one had tails growing out of their backsides or whatever. But that is what people said, so he believed it. So that is the impression we also get from Gentiles who were friends of ours. They say they like us, they tolerate us, and so on, despite the faults we have. We haven't got any faults as far as we know. So it doesn't matter. That is the human nature. That is the reality. And Jacob received the blessings promised to Abraham and Isaac. Esau did not receive the blessings. The children of Jacob were to become the chosen people. Isaac blessed Jacob. God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may be a community of people, so that Kahal Amim, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and to your seed with you. See Genesis 28:2-3. Jacob was given the additional name Israel. Your name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince have you power with God. For as a prince have you power with God. And with a man and have prevailed. See Genesis 32:8. But your name is Jacob. Your name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be your name. And he called his name Israel. Jacob had 12 sons. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. 12 sons of Israel were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Each one of them received his blessing, every one according to his blessing he blessed them. Genesis 49:28. That is according to the commentators. He gave each one the blessing that was most suited to his inner being, to his natural attributes, to his potential. And so this is what was given. The natural right of leadership was to involve Judah, and from Judah will come the Messiah. the house of David and the kingdom of David, and Judah was given the task of being a lawgiver. So too was Levi later given the task of to be a lawgiver. And it says in Genesis 1, Chronicles 5, 1-2, Judah prevailed above his brothers, and of him comes the chief ruler. But the birthright was Joseph's. The birthright was Joseph's, whereas Judah was the chief ruler and the lawmaker. Jacob blessed Joseph. He said, the blessings of your father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors. Under the utmost bound of the everlasting hills, they shall be on the head of Joseph and the crown of him that was separated from his brethren. In Genesis 49:6. And Joseph, that is beyond Joseph merely receiving an extra portion, as if he were since he was the firstborn, or as if he was the firstborn, that is, Joseph was the firstborn of Rachel, and Rachel was the favorite son, probably could it's a favorite son of Isaac, but not the chief wife. Whereas to remember that Rachel and Leah were sisters. Jacob wanted to marry Rachel, and their father-in-law, his father-in-law Laban, his future father-in-law, agreed. But at the wedding site, the brides were switched. Leah, the elder sister of Rachel, was inserted in the place of Rachel. So Jacob, not knowing what had happened, married Leah. So Leah was the first wife. She was the chief wife, and she was also the wife that gave birth to 6 sons. So she had a right to primacy, whereas Rachel, her sister, had only had 2 sons, and the maidservants were also wives. Bilhah and Zilpah also only had 2 sons each. So Rachel had as many sons as all the rest of the wives put together. So from the point of view of strict legality, you could say that Judah, not Judah, but one of the sons of Leah should have had the right of the firstborn. Reuben was the firstborn son, so all other things being equal, it should have gone to him. But Reuben committed offenses. He transgressed somehow or other, so he lost the right to be automatically be known as the firstborn. After Reuben came Simeon, after Simeon came Levi, and after Levi came Yehudah. So Simeon and Levi were skipped over. First you had Reuben, then you had Simeon and Levi, and Jacob considered Simeon and Levi to be hotheads, to be people who couldn't control themselves, the people who went around killing transgressors, as indeed they did on one occasion. So therefore, they were not to be the leaders. Whereas Judah had it. Judah had what was required. So Judah was in line. And from Judah will come the future Messiah, and from Judah comes the house of David. And nevertheless, Joseph also had a claim. Why did Joseph have a claim? Because Joseph, after all, was the son of Rachel. But Rachel should have been the first wife. That was Jacob's initial intention. That was what he had thought he was doing. And Rachel was the most beloved. That was why he got into all this whole situation, because of Rachel. And out of Rachel came Joseph. And Joseph did have qualities. He had qualities of leadership. He saved all the world when he's a ritual ruler of Egypt. He fed the world. He divided lands up. He adjudicated. He did this, he did that. He was known everywhere as a person with whom the Spirit of God spoke, who knew what was going on and what had to be done. So Joseph also had the right and a claim to be the firstborn. So you have these two people, Judah and Joseph, and both of them have claims on the first to be on the firstborn right, and both of them were destined to fulfill, in part at least, this task. And Jacob, when he blessed Joseph, he said, "The blessings of your father, that is me, have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors, that is Abraham and Isaac were the progenitors of Yaakov." And Jacob said that my father, my grandfather, they gave blessings that would be passed on to their sons and their sons' sons. And now I'm here and I'm giving you a blessing which is greater than what the blessing that they gave. That is, I'm an agent of the Almighty, and through the Almighty you are being blessed with a greater blessing than that which was given unto them. Unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills, without boundaries, without limitations, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills are these blessings going to come upon you. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of him that was separated from his brethren. That is, Joseph. Joseph had been separated from his brethren. Joseph had suffered for what he became. Joseph had suffered for what he became. He had earned it. He had suffered, he had gone through many tribulations. He had been imprisoned. He had been accused of things he hadn't done. He had been almost put to death. He had seen his brothers lay on him, throw him in a pit, almost leave him to be killed, and then sell him as a slave. And he had been a slave. And as a slave, he'd gone down to Egypt and he worked his way up and he'd become the manager of his master's estate. And then the wife of his manager accused him, tried to molest him, tried to commit a sexual crime against him or with him. And he refused. And he had to run away from her. She grabbed his garment and pulled it off him. And she accused him of attempted rape. And he was punished for it. And then when he was in jail, and from jail, he emerged to become the effective ruler of the country through the Ruach, through the Spirit of God that was on him, the Spirit of prophecy that was given unto him. And through that, he saved the whole of Egypt, the most powerful country in the world at that time, and all of the civilized world. They're all afflicted by the famine, and they all came down to Egypt to eat grain, and because of the secrets of God that had been revealed unto him, how he had stored up grain, he was able to feed the rest of the world. He supplied them. And through that, he also saved his brothers, and he saved his father and his father's house. And it was promised a blessing without boundaries, far, far beyond that which had been promised to his father and his father's father. This is the Bible says it, the Genesis 49:6. The blessings of your father, that is of me, of Jacob, have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors, that is Isaac and Abraham, until the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. So he shall be on the head of Joseph, and the crown of him that was separated from his brethren. So, wasn't if Joseph was taking something away from the other tribes? He was getting something of his own, something special, all of his own, not connected with what they were getting. And Joseph had the aspect of Snei look at a Brit by Rabbi Isaac Ishayahu, Rabbi Horowitz, 1500s. Says that Joseph has aspect of Jacob above the other tribes. He is Joseph and his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Joseph had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. And we see here that Joseph will receive a blessing greater than that given to the other tribes, altogether greater. Also says the blessing of Joseph will extend over all the nations of the earth. And Joseph had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Both Ephraim and Manasseh received the status of full tribes in their own right. Jacob said, your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, are mine, as Reuben and Simeon, and they shall be mine. And then Jacob blessed them. He said, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, bless the children, and let my name be named on them, that they should receive the name of Jacob. Then the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and they did receive these names. How did they receive these names? We can, have a, what do you call Americans? You call them Yankee. Yankee was originally a name for, or was a name in the American Civil War given to the northern side. But internationally, Yankee is a name applied to Americans from the USA in general. And Yank, in Yiddish and also in Hebrew, Yaakov, the name Yaakov in Sephardic Hebrew, early Sephardic Hebrew in the 1600s, could be pronounced as Yankov. Also in Ashkenazic Hebrew, Yankov, Yank is short for Jacob. And then Yank is a nickname for an American, for North American. From someone from the USA, Yank. Also, we have the Union Jack for the flag of Britain, of England, of the United Kingdom, the Union Jack. Union Jack, the Brit of Jacob. Jack is short for Jacob. Jacob is another name for Israel. Also, a continuation of the blessing, it says, let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac. So we don't have anyone called Abraham, but we do have people named after Abraham. So Abraham in the Bible is referred to as Abraham the Hebrew, the first Hebrew. Abraham is the first Hebrew. Who's the one that has the name Hebrew? Look through all the Bible. People who say British biblical criticism and so on. You'll see, look it up in the encyclopedias and Wikipedia, whatever you want. They all say that the name Abraham existed before the Israelites did. They give you all kinds of equations and so on. So there may be something in it. It doesn't necessarily contradict, or they may not. But in the Bible, the only people referred to as Hebrews are Israelites. And in history, we have a people named after the Hebrews, the Celtic people, especially those in the West, and the British Isles and Ireland and Britain, in Gaul and France, and in Western Europe. It was had the Celtic civilization, different tribes, different groups from different areas. Although generically they were known as Celts. This name Celt was given to them by the Romans. It's a mispronunciation of another name. They did not call themselves that. They wouldn't know what you were talking about if you had to use that name to them. The only ethnic name that they had, as far as we can tell, as far as historical sources relate to us, is that they were called Iba, or Iberi, or Iberni, with this root Abba, Iba, which is a Western pronunciation of the word Iba, Abba, Ivri, Avri. That is the Hebrew. They're called Hebrews. Also, we have Isaac. In genealogical lists, the Celts were also known as Isaac's sons, or sons of Isaac, and so too the Anglo-Saxons also refer to Isaac's sons, or sons of Isaac. And there are other points on this matter. At all events, they were blessed. And he blessed them that day, saying, "In you shall Israel be blessed." Saying, God make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he said Ephraim before Manasseh. And also he says in Jeremiah 31:9, I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Ephraim was my firstborn. Even though Ephraim was the second son, he was the younger son, he was made senior to Manasseh. And why did this? We don't know, but this is what was decreed. The Almighty decreed it. We have a hint, perhaps. Ephraim is referred to as Ephraim HaKatan, or Ephraim HaTza'ir, the younger one, the smaller one. Also, David is also given the same nickname. And the rabbi said, what does that mean, the younger one? He made himself younger. He was more modest. He was more self-effacing. Therefore, he merited to become preeminent. At all events, Jeremiah also says it, quotes the Almighty as saying, I'm a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Later, in the time of Abraham, we find the Almighty speaking of him. In Genesis 18 to 19, he says, Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation. And all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know that he will command his children his house after him. They shall keep the command. His children his house after him. They shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment. That the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him, to do justice and judgment. Doing justice and judgment was a retroactive requirement of becoming a great and mighty nation. They would become a great and mighty nation in order to do justice and judgment. But first they will become a great and mighty nation. And this is what has happened. There is hardly a nation in the world today that sometime or other has not been helped by these people. Remember that America, by these people, I mean the Britain, the British Empire, and I mean the USA and the British and the American Empire of goodness, of helping others, of benevolence. They have helped everyone. And they benefited from it. Through that, they became the sheriff of the world in many ways. And they knew that they were benefiting from it, but there was an element of altruism in this. It was something that emanated from their personality. Even the dollar. The dollar is a preeminent currency. The dollar is a preeminent currency. I know why. I get offerings, trumot, donations from people overseas. So we don't get that much, relatively speaking, but we get enough to get by most of the time. And I use it for this work. And some of it also use it for my family as it was intended. So the value of the dollar speaks to me. And I said the dollar is always worth something. Everyone wants dollars. The dollar goes down, the dollar goes up. Everyone comes back to the dollar. The other euros, you have Chinese money. You have French money. You have money from Russia. You have money from all over the place. You have gold. And none of them can get to the dollar. And why can't they get to the dollar? Because all the other countries have regulations on their money. You can't touch it, or if you put it here, you can't move it there. It's if they have a grudge against you. They have a bad eye against people moving their money. America isn't. America is big. You feel it. America is big. America gives. These people do what they can with what they have. And this is a blessing. And because of that, people want it. Come after it. This is what people want. And therefore, it survives. And how is this a blessing? Because the dollar becomes an international currency. And what is an international currency? An international currency is that if I have a printing press, I'm a printing press. I can print millions, billions of notes. And these notes go to other countries. And the other countries use it to trade amongst themselves. They ascribe value to it. And that is if I have money in the bank. As if I wrote a check and it will never bounce. It will never come back to me. Because people will keep passing it around till the end of eternity. That is what the value of America having an international currency is. And this emanates from a certain positive trait in the American attitude to reality that derives from Joseph, from Ephraim and Manasseh, especially Manasseh in this case. The very name Machir, America is named after Machir. Machir was the firstborn son of Manasseh. Machir in Hebrew means sell, selling, the right to sell, to buy. Machir, that is another, look it up. That is another meaning of the name. And America is named after Machir. America was Bushi gave his name to America. He received his name after Ha-Machiri, which was another form of the name Machir. When it was Latinized, because Western people have a problem pronouncing this Hebrew name, they changed it. They metathesized the letters. They switched the letters around. From Machir, they made it from America. From Machir, they made it America. That is where the name America came from. This was part of the blessing given to them in the Bible. This is the Bible, the real Bible. This is why things happen as they are. These points worth knowing. Also, we hear that Ahab and the son of Ahab, 1 Kings 23:1. We read the Bible and you say Ahab and the sons of Ahab, all his house were wicked people, murderers, this and that. The lowest of the low. Yeah. That's how that in the biblical terms, that's how they're described. And in fact, they did do things which were not morally irreproachable, one could say. They were bad people. But nevertheless, in the eyes of Gentiles, they were righteous. They were Malkei Hazard, kings of kindness compared to other people. We have the story that the king of Israel was fighting against the kings of Aram. The king of Aram went and fled, went and hid in the ruins of his city. And the king of Israel came with all his soldiers and looking for him, wanted to cut his head off. And he didn't know what to do, so his advisors said, we've heard that the kings of Israel are merciful kings. They are righteous kings. They are merciful kings. Throw yourself on his mercy, and he will let you live. And that is what happened. He was later reproved for that. He should not have done that. The prophet reproved him. He said he should have killed him, but nevertheless he kept him alive. And we see that they are merciful. They are merciful kings. Even the bad ones were merciful kings. I remember reading a story. I came across a book once. It's about a Yemenite, Arabi from Yemen. Yemen is in the Arabian Peninsula. The Houthis come from Yemen. They have the Jews had a difficult time there. Anyway, there were many Jews from Yemen who came to Israel. And some of them started coming already in the 1800s. And after that, there came more before 1948. Others came in the end after the establishment of the State of Israel. They nearly all cracked it. But there were quite a few who came earlier. So this book was an autobiography by a Yemenite rabbi. And he was telling when he was in Yemen, he did this, he did that. Then he came to Israel. He got married. He was there. He was sitting on the veranda, on his veranda, apparently overlooking, maybe in the first floor, second floor, I don't know, sitting on his veranda, overlooking the market. And then it was when the British were in what was then called Palestine, and the Jews had disagreements with the British and with the Arabs and so on, and they had it was illegal for them to have arms, to have their own rifles and weapons. So every now and again the British soldiers used to come and used to make a search around. And when they found arms, they wouldn't punish the people necessarily, but they would, they would take it. They would take the weapon away. They would take the weapon when they found it. So he said they came and they searched one of the market stores and they found a rifle and they took the rifle. And he's writing. This is someone doesn't know, was an intelligent, very intelligent person, but didn't necessarily know very much. had basic instincts. And he said, I had heard, he said, that the British were merciful, especially towards women. Especially towards women, he said. So I sent my younger wife to go down and grab the rifle, take the rifle away from the soldier. And she did, and she took the rifle. And the soldier didn't know what to do, looked nonplussed. He didn't want to, wasn't going to hit the woman, wasn't going to strike back, because they don't do that. But what's he going to do now? So he said, so we went down and we placated them and we talked to them. And then me and other neighbors of mine, we wanted them back to our house. We gave them a meal and we brought in a bottle of whiskey and they sang songs and they were very pleased and they went away hoping that we should soon merit to receive our own country and so on. But that is something the British, so sometimes bad things are said against the British, but there are also good things said about them. They had this attribute. They were known for having this attribute of being merciful. And they were so well known that this person was a real patriot. He risked his wife on the assumption that it was true. Now, whatever. That was how he wrote it. And he wrote it, he knew what he was writing.